when I've been watching these videos, the only thing I can hear, I can't actually watch the video and actually watch what I'm doing. The voice in my head is overwhelming everything. You're this, you're doing that, you're to that. Really, really critical voice comes out. This is exactly what has to change. The kind of thing that is holding me back in all areas of life. It's not a nice way to live. It's not a nice way for anybody to live their life. Having this voice that's criticizing everything comes out of nowhere. The only person criticizing me is me. I am my own worst enemy, especially when it comes to inside my own head. I've always had an issue with this. I also have a cold as well, so I apologise if I sound a little bit nasal and a little bit fragile. How did I get that cold? Because I was stressed. My two big issues that I'm focusing on at the moment, number one is self-esteem, and number two, which is tied to the first, feeling in scarcity mindset relating to finances. Big wound that I had in childhood was related to the perception of never having enough money, the perception of always needing to be tight and always needing to be suffering, always needing to be stretched thin, believing that my worth or my existence was only tied to the plane of being working class, always struggling, never having enough is a message that was sent through my ancestors to me, and then whilst I was growing up, that message was further pushed on me, never having enough. I have now been exposed to the dimension, let's call it that, the way of existence where these are ordinary people who have managed to transform their lives simply through reprogramming their brain. Because as I understand it and have understood it for a long time, the vast majority, if not all, of the solution to this comes from your pre-programmed beliefs about yourself, the world that you live in, people you interact with, and that's all obviously in the realm of self-esteem. So I hope I'm making sense here. I've had the understanding for quite a few years now. Any and every change starts with your perception. It's simple, it's not easy, but it is simple. And a lot of people who are really, really successful start from the point of being delusional. Every time I would come across a person who was doing better than me, a person who was more successful than me, a person who had more than me, I would actually be one of those people to try and drag them down, to try and I would be really, really judgmental, either outspoken or not internally. In university, there would be people who would have more money than me. They would come from a richer family than me. I'm thinking of two different ones. I would always have this response more towards women than men. Another point that I could go on and talk about in more detail, but I won't do that right now. In general, a lot of people at university had more money. I would never become proper close friends with these girls because I felt like I had nothing in common. I felt like I didn't deserve to be in their company. I couldn't relate to their lives because their experience was so much better than mine, because they had it so much easier. This was the story that I was telling myself. They had it so much easier, and I was the victim. I was the person who had it harder. I was a person who suffered more. I felt this resentment towards them, and I felt that I could justify the resentment towards them because of all these problems that I had. Now, this is purely based on assumption, because I never actually talked to these girls. You understand? I literally just created all this in my head, never would ask them anything about it, and then I would shut them out. I would label them and I would dismiss them, and then that was it. That was that. I wouldn't give them the time of day, because I thought as well that they wouldn't give me the time of day. It's all in the mind. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Had I chatted to them, there were both of these girls, everybody in the whole uni class, and they had loads of friends, everybody loved them, they did really, really well. So objectively, they are well-adjusted people. In fact, I was not the well-adjusted one, but I wanted to convince myself that normal was suffering. Normal to me was suffering. Normal to me was being miserable and always feeling like I didn't have enough and always struggling was normal to me, so I had to keep myself at that lower state of consciousness. Know my place. Don't think that I can actually better my life to the point where I'm better than other people, because I've always labelled those people who are doing better than me, as I just mentioned, as arrogant, as selfish, as entitled. If you're trying to become that way, if you're jealous, if all you're thinking is I really want that, I wish I'd had that growing up, a part of you wants to be that way, right? But you're never gonna be that way if you're always shitting on that way of life. That's a kind of disconnect that I never fully realised was actually going on inside me until I learned about all of this manifestation stuff. And then I wondered, why am I not making any progress in this area of my life? Why am I just feeling stuck? Why am I not getting anywhere? This is why, because what I thought I wanted, I didn't actually want, I was actually putting down. I have to want to be a different way of living in order to change my way of living, and therefore I have to stop putting that way of life down. I see my future, I see the next 5 years, I see that I'm married, I have a partner that absolutely loves me, a husband who loves me a lot. I try not to think about how fast time is going because that puts me into a bit of a stress ball. I need to take control of my life. Long story short, I need to exercise some control, and actually it all starts from the mind. If I can fix my mind, then everything else will follow.